I have seen that a ton of political YouTubers are taking this political compass test, and I thought it would be really fun to take. And so I'm basically going to go through each question and answer it. And if I feel like the question warrants any sort of special extra explanation, I'll definitely give it. And then I would like to point out that I know that a lot of conservatives like to say that this test is biased, but I have also seen a lot of conservatives take the like before they take the test, they say, "Oh, this test is biased," and then they line up exactly where they feel like they should line up when the test is done. So like, I mean, maybe they feel like the questions are asked in a bit of a biased way, but they and like it's accurate because it like puts them where they should be on the spectrum. And so like I would probably agree that some of the questions are a little biased, and I think that some of the questions are honestly a little silly just from seeing some people take it. But um, I think it's for the most part fairly accurate. So the first question is, if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. So I would definitely agree with that. I obviously think that like we want things to serve humanity rather than corporations. I mean, I guess that would be an example of what a lot of people would call a biased question. If you guys disagree with my answer to any of these questions, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys think. And so the next question is, I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I strongly disagree with that. Obviously, your country can do things that are wrong. I mean, that'd be silly to say otherwise. No one chooses his or her country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I would probably agree with that. I mean, obviously, like if there's something that you have like literally no control over whatsoever, I get it. Like you could be happy that that happened. Like I'm obviously thankful that I was born in the United States because I mean I was given a lot of opportunities that a lot of people wouldn't normally have. But I'm not like proud of it because I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like I didn't like accomplish anything by being born here. And so no, I don't think that you. I'm not move that to strongly agree. And so our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. I strongly disagree with that. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I would disagree with that because I feel like friendship it requires a little bit more than just a common enemy. Like you can't just say, "Hey, let's go like destroy this other person." Like that's not all it takes to be a friend. So I would definitely disagree with that. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Okay, I hate that the United States constantly breaks international law. I think that it does so in horrific ways many of the times, but I'm going to have to agree with this question just because, like, I don't know every single international law, so maybe there are instances where breaking international law is justified. For the most part, in almost every instance, I really, really wish that countries didn't break international law because a lot of times it is to protect like smaller countries and to prevent war and to prevent war crimes. So like in like 99% of situations, I probably side with international law, but I can't say that it's never justified because I don't know the entire law book. So I'm gonna have to agree with that. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. So I'm not really sure what that's referring to. I'm assuming that's referring to like maybe like certain like talk show hosts getting more political or like comedians are talking about politics more and more and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really mind it. I mean, I also really like politics, so like I actually kind of think it's fun if like say I like a comedian and they like talk about different political stuff. But I know that that's not something that everybody's a fan of. I know that a lot of people like to separate their politics from their entertainment. So I guess I can agree with it just out of sympathy for like a bunch of people that I know who like don't like that things are becoming so politicized. It's not really a huge issue in my mind, but I definitely sympathize with people who don't want to hear about politics 24/7. So people are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. I definitely agree with that. I think that you have a lot more in common with someone who is a different race than you, but they're of the same class than maybe you'd have Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos does not probably understand a lot of the things that you're going through. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling employment or unemployment. I definitely think that both of those are probably pretty important to control, but I do think that unemployment is probably more important to control, so I'd probably have to disagree with that one. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I strongly agree with that. Obviously, a lot of corporations they don't care about the negative externalities; they just are basically profit seeking. So regulation makes complete sense. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. So I obviously recognize a quote that's like a quote from Karl Marx. So I would like to clarify. So I'm definitely like not like a communist or a socialist. I would classify myself as like a social democrat or maybe a democratic socialist, depending on who you're talking to. So like I am not like totally for like governmental control and everything, but like I do think that it is kind of like a good, like, it obviously it's utopian and like it almost 100% will never actually happen, but like if everybody just worked like as hard as they could and then like everybody got just like what they needed, like that is like a good thing. And like even if you don't think that that's like realistic, I just like have a hard time seeing like why that's not good. Because like I mean obviously if you're getting what you need, then like why do you have a problem with it? Unless there's some people who like literally I feel like to have a problem with that you'd have to like, some people would be getting more things than they need. um and like that's not like inherently bad, but that is like kind of what you have a problem with if you don't like that quote. I don't know. Obviously, this is a quote that's been talked about a ton in the future, so I'm not gonna like solve whether or not it's good or bad here. But I guess I agree that it's like obviously it's utopian, but like it is like a, at least a. I know that their heart was in the right place when they brought it up. So the freer the market, the freer the people. I would probably disagree with that, just because like obviously in all instances, I don't think that a free market is definitely the right idea. I think that the free market, quote unquote, has a lot of issues with it. That a lot of I don't know if you really can have a free market, because one of the things about like a free market is that like everyone is kind of like on a level playing field. You know, if you just really simplify like what it takes to have a free market, um, you're like it's virtually impossible. And so like what you have is like, you know, maybe in the US they'll say like, oh, we need to make the market freer, so we're just going to get rid of regulations on Wall Street. And like I think that that's not good whatsoever. So this isn't even say a free market, a freer market. And definitely our current political climate, I don't think that rolling back regulations for the most part is a very good idea. So it's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled branded consumer product. So I mean, I don't have a problem with like bottled water. Like I think bottled water is fine. I do also think that we as like a country should make sure that everybody has access to clean drinking water. So I I I would probably have to disagree with that. That it's not like inherently bad that we have like bottled water, and that people can buy it. But I also think that we should have like a, I guess it's a, if we're gonna put it in terms, a public option for water, where people who don't want to buy water, they should still have access to water. We should like make sure that everybody has access to water. And if you want to buy your Fiji water, you know, that's fine. So I don't inherently think that that's a bad thing. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Obviously this is something like, it's gonna make me sound like super lefty right here, but I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing that land is bought and sold. Well, okay, obviously it's never gonna happen where we're not gonna have like land being bought and sold. But like, I mean, I feel like a lot of times when you like trace back like the roots of like maybe like where the land came from, and like basically it was just land. Land was acquired through conquering. Like that was how you got land. I feel like there's probably a lot of instances then, if you like trace forward from that, there are probably some people who had huge head starts in the amount of land that they had. Um, I probably just disagree with that, just because it's so. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. So yeah, I would probably disagree, just because like I think it's fine that land is bought and sold. That's like really low on like my priority of things that I think that we should like fix about like society in general. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. I strongly agree. Um, I know it's short selling is a perfect example. I really don't think that short selling adds any value. And like, if you're a short seller, that's fine. But like, don't try and tell me that like you buy like short selling a company that you are like actually like really helping society. Like I just don't think that's true. Like it is totally possible to like gain like money without like actually providing any value. Like obviously that's true. Like people who like do like day trading, who like they literally just like trade, like, you know, like when they like buy a stock and then they wait for it to move a penny and then they sell it and then they do that all day. What value are they adding? They're obviously not value, like adding any value. So like don't like, I hate it when people say like, oh, every job like adds value. Like that does not, what value does that add to society? So yeah, so I strongly agree that that's unfortunate that happens. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I think that I would strongly agree. Obviously sometimes protectionism is important. The only social responsibility a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Okay, so this is a question of what it should be. I guess I wish that companies cared about more than just delivering profit to its shareholders. I think that's all companies do care about is delivering profit to shareholders. Obviously, some will have like green initiatives and stuff, but at the end of the day, like they're trying to deliver profit to shareholders. So I guess I'll disagree that because I think that it should be more than that. I don't know if it is, but the rich are too highly taxed. I strongly disagree with that. There was a study that came out not too long ago, and it showed that like I think it was like the top 1% of people, they paid a lower effective tax rate than the bottom rung of people. That's not how it should work. That's like the lowest income people pay a higher effective tax rate than the top earners. Like that is such a big problem. Warren Buffett, he had that like that challenge that he put out to like all his billionaire buddies, and they said like if you can prove that you pay a lower or a higher effective tax rate than your secretary, I'll give you like $1 million. And nobody was able to claim it because none of them do pay a higher effective tax rate than their secretaries. So those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. I obviously strongly disagree with that because I support a single payer healthcare system. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I strongly agree with that. Amway. I have a personal vendetta against Amway and pyramid schemes. If you haven't seen it, check out my video. I'm 99% sure it's a scam. I talk about how some of my friends got involved with some pyramid schemes. It was super unfortunate. And so then a genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Genuine free market requires restrictions. So I would definitely agree with that because yeah, we do need to stop monopolies from happening. I definitely support like breaking up companies if they get too large and they squash out all competition. And you would think that conservatives, at least to an extent, would also support that because like if there's a monopoly, then that's not the free market either. So that's an interesting question. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal. I disagree with that. I think that there are probably other instances. Wait, let me make sure I read that right. Abortion when the woman's life is not. Yeah, I disagree with that. All authority should be questioned. Strongly agree with that. That doesn't mean that they're not right, but like yeah, you should definitely always question authority. Like it doesn't mean you have to like completely disobey them. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I strongly disagree with that. What a vague statement. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I strongly disagree with that. I'm not like a revenge kind of person. I mean, like what's the old quote? Like an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Like I mean, it's cliche, but like it's kind of true. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. And so this is actually probably something that I would agree with, just because, like, I mean, because who decides what is the museums and theaters that should be propped up? Obviously, I do think that there's value in like the arts and everything. Like, I believe that there's a lot of value in the arts and theaters and museums and everything. I don't know if it's necessarily the government's job to fund those things, though. I guess I think I'm going to disagree with that, just because I do think that the arts are important, and so it shouldn't be like a lot of money, but maybe a little bit of money goes to supporting them. That is 100% a question that I could be swayed either way on. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I guess it depends what kind of schools you're talking about, but I do think that you should require kids to go to school at least until a certain age, right? Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. So I would disagree with that because I do think that kids should go to school, at least up to a certain age. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. That is a weird question. I would strongly disagree. That's a weird question. I guess if that's an example of one of the weird questions. Good parents sometimes have to spank their kids. I strongly disagree with that. I think that spanking is horrible. I mean, what are you teaching your kids if like you hit them? Like I strongly disagree. You should never hit your kids. Spanking included. Never hit your kids. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. I mean, obviously that's natural. It might not always be good, but clearly that's natural. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I strongly agree with that. The prime function of schooling should be to equip future generation to find jobs. I disagree with that because I do think that schools should the school should do other things than just equip people to find jobs. Obviously, it should teach you about history and reading and writing. I guess you could argue that that helps you with jobs, but I just don't really like that outlook. People with serious inheritable diseases should not be allowed to reproduce. I strongly disagree with that. That's who would agree with that? The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. I strongly disagree with that. There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. So like this is a weird question. So there are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. I mean, okay, this is a weird question, but like I think that every culture has a bit of savagery to it. I mean, and you might say like, oh, the U.S. isn't savagery. I think it's savage when we drop bombs on other people. I think there's a form of savagery. So I think that all cultures have a form of savagery to them. Even cultures that you would expect to be super advanced and super proper and everything. I think that there is forms of savagery in all cultures. So there are only different cultures. Yeah, so I guess I would agree with that. Now, I would like to point out, I definitely do think that some cultures can be more savage than other cultures. I mean, I think that you're kind of denying reality if you say that that's not true. But I don't think that. I mean, obviously, that doesn't mean you should discriminate other cultures. Um, but yeah, like I mean, I think it's okay to say that some practices are bad. Like, yeah, obviously, it's okay to say some practices are bad. I think that droning civilians is bad. That's a perfect example of a practice of a culture that is not good. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. So I actually believe in like really strong social safety nets. And like I mean, this is the thing with like universal basic income. It's like if we pay people, then like they'll never work anymore. And I think that Sam Cedar he put it like really well. It was just like if you say like because this was when they were considering making like unemployment benefits at least for briefly during this coronavirus pandemic, making them higher than like because like they were going to add $600 to unemployment benefits. So for some people, their wages would be higher than what they were making before they got fired. And there were a lot of Republicans that had a problem with that because they said it'll disincentivize people from working. And I feel like Sam Cedar had a really good quote because he said that doesn't disincentivize people from working. That takes a company's leverage away from people where they have the ability to say if you don't work, you don't get to eat. That is what happens when you have a strong social safety net where people don't have to work if they want to eat. Obviously, I think that people will still work even if there is like good a strong social safety net. I know I personally if even if I knew that like if I didn't work I would still have like healthcare and I would still have a place to sleep and I wouldn't go hungry. I would still work as hard as I could because that's the kind of person I am. I want to like move up in the world obviously like so I definitely disagree with that. So I oh wait no I disagree with that. When you're troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I mean, I don't think that people should like deny like the problems that they have, but I mean, I totally support like if things are going bad and you decide to get lost in a TV show or something. I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's always good, so I don't know how to answer that exactly. I guess I'll disagree just because I don't think you should always get lost. Sometimes problems need to be addressed. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I strongly disagree with that. I obviously think that immigrants can completely integrate into a new country. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. I strongly disagree with that. Wow. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I definitely like that media is separate from the state. I guess it's fine if you do have like some sort of state funded media outlet. So I guess I would disagree with that because I do think that it's okay to have some sort of public broadcasting. Yeah. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I agree with that. See the Patriot Act. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic I disagree. Actually, a significant advantage of one party is avoid all the arguments that delay the progress. Okay, okay. I don't know how I should answer this because obviously I don't support a one-party state. I support many parties. I think the U.S. should have more political parties. But But they're not wrong that the advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delays the like I definitely I mean that's true. They do avoid all those arguments. I guess now I have to argue for political parties. I mean, I guess it's not good because then like those arguments will potentially lead to bigger decisions. I don't know. I mean, it's not wrong. Okay, I'm gonna say I disagree because um, I do think that we should have multiple political parties, and I don't want the test to skew me one way or the other. But I definitely do think that like obviously like a one party state they can act faster on certain things like that. Obviously, there's no determinant on whether or not those things are good, but like you're crazy if you don't think that like yeah, one party state they could do things faster. I just don't think that that's what you should do. I don't think you should have a one party state, but like, I'm gonna disagree with that though, just for the purpose of the quiz. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. I disagree with that. I think that there's, yeah, no, obviously more people than wrongdoers should be worried. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I strongly disagree with that. I'm not in favor of the death penalty. I don't support really any form of violence unless it's in like immediate self defense. So obviously the death penalty does not fall into immediate self defense. If a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I strongly disagree with that one. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I guess I would disagree with that just because, like, I mean, consider anything art. I mean, that's silly. Like, I mean, maybe like they always talk about like those paintings that like it's just on the wall, it's just gray, and that's like the painting. That's probably not art, but I mean, it can be considered art. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I strongly disagree with that. I think that rehabilitation should be the primary focus of the criminal justice system. It is a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. I strongly disagree with that. I think that everybody should try. We should at least try and rehabilitate everybody. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. So that's an interesting question. I would probably disagree with that because I mean you can't really quantify what I'm gonna take something from my personal life. I mean I couldn't even really quantify the value that someone like George R. R. Martin with a Game of Thrones or a Song of Ice and Fire, I guess who you're talking to, with like the value that has like given to the world. Like I mean, I'm getting super weird about this, but I think that that's important. I really do think that that is a really really important thing. So I definitely wouldn't call that more important. So I disagree with that. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. I strongly disagree with that. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. I would agree with that. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I strongly disagree with that. That's a silly opinion to have. Astrology accurately explains many things. I strongly disagree with that. Wow, I really hope people comment on this video and like are super into astrology and tell me how wrong I am about that. But yes, I do not think that astrology accurately explains anything. You can be moral without being religious. I strongly agree with that. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I disagree with that. Because I think that like all right, this is an argument that like people fall back on like all the time, like like especially like libertarians and conservatives, is that like the social safety net will take care of it. It's like because I'll say like, oh, okay, we should have like single payer healthcare, like everybody should have access to healthcare. And they're like, no, we should have the government will or people will pay for healthcare. The free market will take care of it. And I'm like, what about people who like they get cancer out of nowhere and they can't afford the bill? And they're like, well, the social safety net, they'll take care of it. There are people every day, or not, probably every day, that die from cancer because they couldn't, pay for their medical bills. They couldn't access treatment. Social safety net did not take care of them. Like no one's stopping the social safety net from taking care of these individuals. So I think that that's, yeah. Some people are naturally unlucky. I guess it depends on what you mean by unlucky. I mean, I definitely think some people are born with maybe less opportunities. I mean, I guess you would call that unlucky. But like, do I think that they will roll, if they never be able to roll a Yahtzee? I don't know if I disagree. Probably agree with that because they're probably talking about opportunities. But like, I definitely don't think that like people like I said, they can't roll a Yahtzee. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. I strongly disagree with that. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. I would strongly disagree with that. A same sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I strongly agree with that. Obviously, they should have access to child adoption. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. I strongly agree with that. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. I strongly agree with that. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Strongly disagree. Obviously, people can feel just like, I mean, I naturally feel heterosexual, so obviously some people can feel naturally homosexual. I feel like that didn't really need explaining, but I felt like it. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. I disagree with that. I feel like people are still shamed to this. I'll even strongly disagree with that one. All right, now let's see my results. Okay, let's see. I am. This is the scale. They got authoritarian on the top, libertarian on the bottom, left, right. Let's see where I ended up. I am. Where's my results? Right here. I am strongly on the libertarian left. So that means my score was negative 6.13, and then for the economic part, and then the libertarian part, I was negative 7.03. So let's see who I'm in line with. I'm with Gandhi over here. And they got Milton Friedman, Stalin, Hitler got Hitler and Margaret Thatcher in the same area to just show like who knows what they're trying to show with that. That's weird. They should have put like either all should put all good people. That way you don't want anyone to feel bad if they're authoritarian, right? Like we don't want to make those people feel bad, do we? Maybe some people do. So that's my political compass, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please, like I said, leave a comment down below if you disagreed with any of my answers to any of the questions. I would love to hear from you guys what you guys think. Definitely, I'll leave a like the link to this test so you guys can take it yourself. So fun little quiz. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. If you disagreed with anything, please leave a comment down below. And then have a great day.